So I'll just say flat out, there are a couple of things here that I don't have authorization to just give out. I'd have to check with the team first, but I can say our last pre-order, we were selling it at 24.99 US dollars. So it will be probably more than that, and it's definitely not going to be over 40. We'd like our game to feel worth that much money, but well, this is our first game. It's still early on. We want it to be fair because that's part of the experience when people play it. It's do they feel it was a good value. So one thing we said very early on was no map DLCs, because having been in that boat when you don't buy the maps and then you're in a server and you get kicked off because you don't have the right files. And I think the major studios have learned that lesson too by now, because it bifurcates your player base, and that's never good. So we plan never to charge for maps. The only thing we'd ever charge for would be something like a cosmetic unlock system or things that didn't impact the game at all. But honestly, right now, like in our near term window, we have plans for stuff like that, but we want the game to be what we want it to be on just that one off fee. And we have plans to add more stuff for the full release, but then even more content beyond that as well. On that one time fee. Yeah,
So,
I'll just add to that. One of the things we're proud of was we think we're able to do a lot with little resources, and like part of the reason we have fully embraced this distributed model is it saved us a ton of money on overhead, and that just means like we don't need as much revenue to keep going and to keep making more content. So we kind of consider that as a competitive advantage of ours versus some other indie or major studios. So we are PC first, um, but not PC only. We're not gonna stop developing on PC until we're totally happy with it. We are targeting PS4 and Xbox, and we haven't done anything actively, just besides getting all the agreements set up. We haven't started development. We toyed around with it a couple months ago on one of the platforms, but then just decided it would have been a distraction at that point. And really, like until we have a certain level of content, like until we have the release level of content, there's no point in creating a whole new code base. So I can't really give a time scale now because it's heavily dependent on what happens after we hit the store and like what kind of resources we can devote to those platforms.
makes sense.
But we are lucky that Unreal, and that's not it's not easy, but it's a lot easier than it would have been in the past, to get those builds up and running. We are on UE4, and we are pushing, I'd say, the limits of what's graphically capable with it. So that that typically puts Mac out right away, just because the hardware that those computers get, just aren't up to snuff. It's another one of those things we're open to exploring. Like same thing with Linux client. At the it's not at the forefront of our our feature list right now, but it's something we have the option to. So when we do finally have some free time, it's something we could test very easily. But it's we and the reason I say that is we're not keeping it in mind now because our only goal early on is to make the experience as good as we can on the PC. And if you try to fold Mac into that, we'd have to make some concessions, and we just don't have to worry about that yet. Good question. So I'll give it in two answers. The only computers that I've seen fail, like completely fail to run the game, have been some computers with video cards under 2 gigabytes, so basically 1 gigabyte of video RAM. I'm not sure what numbers that maps to, and then computers with under 4 gigabytes of total RAM. So, like for instance, we have a lower end machine that we test on. It has like a 4 generation old i7 and a GTX 560, which has two gigabytes of VRAM. And based on the new build, we just ran this test actually like 30 minutes ago. We were getting 30 FPS on Epic in Karantan, our new level, and I think 60 on medium. So I'd consider that a lower end piece of hardware, and that's kind of our low watermark. We want that machine to be able to run it at 60 frames. Where a 3 or 4 year old computer should be able to run our game at 60 frames.
Okay, that's cool.
And the nice part is I've actually been pleasantly surprised with how the engine scales down. On low, Unreal still looks pretty impressive in a lot of ways. So it's not the end of the world if you are running on low or medium settings.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really talked about that much in a while. We There's a company called Easy Anti Cheat. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, I know them.
the Netherlands. So we're gonna integrate them before launch. We're probably gonna do some stuff on our own as well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a cat and mouse game, and you need to devote this, whatever resources you need to fix the problem and stay ahead of the cheaters. But at the end of the day, the best solution really is server admin controls and the ability to ban people from your server. That's the only 100% effective mechanism. But we want to make sure from day one that this is something we get ahead of because we'd rather get ahead of it than have it become a problem and then be playing catch up like we've seen some other people have to do.
Yes.
We got a lot of faith in those guys at EAC though. They talk a big game. So not something I put a ton of thought into. I mean, we're not like a single player game, so there's not a ton of content to localize. I can say the first two languages we'll be adding are German and French.